There it is. There
we
it is.
are live, I guess. There we are. There we're live. You know, it's another Friday fun day, as we call it around here, has rolled around.
Yeah,
and we're
every
ready
day's
for a
fun day here at Sub 2 Empire, right?
That is well, yes.
A little bit of I got a little trim going on here. I promise I didn't pull that out. But no, man. First of all, let me welcome everybody to the podcast. My name is Jeff Kaufman. I'm joined here by my colleague over at Sub 2 Empire, Mr. Ken Rossix. And, I think today is going to be an important one. First of all, we don't have any questions from last week, so we must be doing something right? I mean,
I think so. That's probably right. We are hitting all the boxes on all the questions for the people as we go through the episode.
That's right. That's right. We're not vain at all. We're just that good.
That's right.
No, but this is going to be an interesting one because I am a huge fan of direct mail. It's probably if I had to put it into if I had to categorize it or prioritize it, direct mail would probably be number 3 for me. But it's something that is very, very consistently as a marketing strategy, as a marketing method rather. Direct mail is for me. It's like I go Google Ads, then I go direct response, which would be like bandit signs or just direct response ads, and then to kind of tie all that together, direct mail campaigns they kind of just work in conjunction with both of those. More so with Google. If I can get super targeted with Google and I can get some responses with Google, it does help me to follow up with direct mail for those responses. So initial cold outreach, just sending out, everyone does the absentee owners list, obviously. But if I get a response from someone, direct mail is the way to go. And so today what we're going to talk about actually getting your mail opened. How do we get our mail open? How many letters or postcards do you receive on a monthly basis?
You're flashing there too. But if that question was directed at me, I actually keep them. They're right over here in the thing. I probably get I don't know. I probably get 3 or 4 a week. Usually postcards, by the way, and they're just the generic plain Jane type of stuff on the direct mail. I usually, most of the time, I usually call them or I put them because I put them in my database, right? I put them in my recess, other investors and people, just to have in my list, so to speak, in there too. But first of all, before we bring in our guest though, direct mail. Jeff, does direct mail actually work?
Oh man.
Like, why aren't we doing everything electronically now in front of the damn phones? And the reason direct mail still works is because everyone else thinks it doesn't work. So that's why it does work.
It's true. Yeah, everyone's chasing the latest and greatest. And I'm telling you, these old school strategies, like this has been around for ages. And we'll get into it when we bring our guest on. But in fact, why don't we just do that? Because I actually have a piece that I received yesterday in the mailbox, and I want to show this to our guest.
Okay. All right. All right. So today we are proud to have on Lindsay Kurtzuba, who is the owner of A3 Marketing, who's a premier direct mail provider. And so that's, as Jeff mentioned, that's our focus today is marketing and direct mail. So welcome to our episode, Lindsay.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So the first thing we like to do before we talk about the business side of it, and obviously we're real estate oriented here, we just like to know a little bit about you. So tell us about yourself and what you did prior to A3 Marketing.
Yeah, so I live actually in Omaha, Nebraska, and I was in sales for years and years, actually food service sales to be specific. And before I bought this company in 2021, I want to say. My husband does another marketing side of the business. And once his kind of got rolling, we decided I would make the jump and get out of food service sales. I've lived in Nebraska my whole life, but I was traveling a lot, and I had really little kids at the time. So it was just also to be able to work for myself seemed like a really wonderful thing. And it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's kind of, my background. Like I said, I was a regional sales manager for, probably 15 years, and then just kind of made the jump. So I did a ton of marketing stuff while I was in sales. Just never was the person to completely put it all together. But, with sales meetings and presentations and everything, I had done all of that stuff. But so we just kind of moved into this, and it's just worked out, and it's been awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. Before we move on here, so wait a minute. Had you had any experience prior to buying this business in kind of the direct mail, particularly, or I want to say like this little niche of marketing?
No, but my
Okay.
husband had. So
Okay.
my husband worked for a marketing company for years and then started his own. So when I was kind of sniffing around trying to maybe think about jumping on board with him because his business was going well, we found this business that somebody else was actually selling, and it fit right in with what we were doing. It was a whole different part of marketing. We weren't doing this specifically, but it fit in, and then it kind of just became my baby. Like, I am the one that runs this whole side of the business at this point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Ken, I don't know if you had something you wanted to ask, but I have a quick question.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as A3 marketing goes, I kind of know what the model is, but maybe tell our listeners what is the business model for A3 marketing? Go ahead.
So basically what it is we kind of decided to take a different approach to marketing. So it's more of the, like you had said before, like the old school way of marketing, of actually putting pen to paper and putting things in the mail to people, instead of them getting emails or all that kind of stuff that we get now. We have found that we just really like the personalization of it all. People like to do different things with their marketing. They want to kind of revamp it every once in a while. So this was just another way to offer a different kind of a service to people to try to expand their marketing, honestly. So that's what we do. So I have a team of writers that write for me, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but they put pen to paper, they sign the letters for me, and then we do the return address and the mailing address. We put an actual stamp on it. It's not run through a machine. So it's very personal. We just don't get mail like that anymore, unless it's your birthday or Christmas, really. Yeah. So we know those get opened. We know people are looking at them because they see their name on an envelope and want to know what it is. So that's sort of really it in a nutshell. We can do a bunch of different things with the letters that I kind of personalize to each person or whatever they're looking for. But really, that's the kind of the long and short of what we do here.
Got it. When you just as a follow-up, I'm just curious. So when you purchased the company A3 Marketing, was that their business model, or did you change it to meet what you thought was the best practices?
It was their business model. However, I have changed more in the way of really letting people personalize what they want to do. They didn't do that as much before. I think that she just had it very kind of black and white, almost, in a way, to like, this is what we offer if you want this. But now I have found And part of that is probably from sort of my sales background and everything, but I have found everybody's got something different that they want to do, and they're allowed to switch it up, halfway through. If we're looking at a list of 5,000 names and you decide at, number 1,000, you want to use a different colored envelope. So I'm very flexible in that way, which that's not really what it was before, but it's pretty close to what we bought before. I just kind of put different personalizations on stuff.
So the name of the game for you is personalizing the entire effort. I mean, literally, not only do you personalize the letters, not only do you personalize the envelopes, but you have personalized service for the people that hire you to manage this for them.
Right. And it's me that they're talking to. It's not like I have a team of writers that write for me. They're, stay-at-home moms, or they're retired ladies, a bunch of different people that are just looking to make a little extra money on the side. And they're fabulous. But it's me. I mean, it's when somebody emails the info email address, they're emailing me. So so I really get to that's the part of it I really love and I really enjoy, and that I really enjoyed when I was in sales, was being able to talk to people and really have that communication with them, even though I'm sitting here in Nebraska, and they're all over the United States, but I get to really personalize it for what they want and be flexible with that, because everybody wants something different.
I do not know a single mail house that offers any of this. Now we've got all this AI, we've got all these bots, and I'm sure you've seen the big kind of industrialized, almost like an assembly line.
Yes.
Where folks, they have the fake writers, they have the machine writers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting too. This was back in my Carlton Sheets days.
We're dating ourselves today.
Yeah. So I was pretty heavy into it, even though I'd never followed up with it. Didn't actually get started for about 20 years later, But I remember catching one of my friends. I was in the service at the time. I remember catching one of my friends saying, and so this was 30 years ago. One of my friends at the time, I remember him saying that he was from rural Kentucky, we're talking Hatfield, McCoy, coal mines, way, way out there. I could tell you stories about that dude. But I would catch on to these little things that I was hearing Carlton Sheets talk about, and he was talking about marketing. And he was talking about hiring people to stuff envelopes. I don't know if you remember seeing that, in the newspaper, back when we had newspapers,
mm-hmm.
They had articles for envelope stuffers.
Yeah.
And that's what he's like, I'm not getting out of the service, because all that's left is, going back home and stuffing envelopes and I didn't know what that really meant at the time, but yeah. So no, it's very interesting. But that stuff, that's how long this has been around, right? I mean, this style, just direct mail. And I just think that you've taken it to a totally different, is it a new level, or is it revisiting an old level?
I think it's a little of both. Honestly, That's what I was going to say. I think that it's one of those things where things are coming, this particular thing may be coming back around, or maybe coming back around for you specifically in your business, because it's not what people are doing anymore. Yeah. So, and then we just take it to the next level with all of the resources that I have today, with things that I can buy or things I can do on the computer, different things like that. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. I think it's sorely needed, if I'm being honest. It's we talked a little bit just prior to you jumping on, and just everybody's, including myself. I'm going to be I'm not going to exclude myself from this. We tend to get squirrely. I like to follow the latest trends and all that stuff, but it just seems like when I get a piece of mail, and I'm going to show you guys this piece of mail here, show the audience this thing too. But when I get a piece of mail, I almost, even if I know it's a crappy piece, even if I know it's something that and like for the purposes like Kim was talking about, was he likes to add those folks to his list of people to reach out to from time to time. But I want you to look at this piece of mail. I don't know how well we can see this. First of all, I think this is one of the most gimmicky things I've ever seen in my life. It's a check, right? Looks like a check. I better cover up that, right? Looks like a check. It looks very official. Immediately, though, I knew it wasn't a check, but I'm just saying. And then you open it up, and it's something entirely different from what you are expecting. So I just feel like while this might get a decent open rate because people think they're getting paid, obviously, and it does look like a check. I mean, you could almost tear this off and cash it. It looks that authentic. But I just don't. As soon as I open something and I see that it's absolutely not what I was expecting,
right?
It goes right in the shit can. Like honestly, I don't even deal with it. But so on the other hand, though, if I'm getting letters or if I'm getting postcards, I tend to hang on to those more. I tend to, and I've got a pile of them in my file cabinet here. But I don't know. I just see a greater need for the personalization thing. Like this looks very, very machine made, and I don't know. I would be upset if I spent the kind of money on direct mail for fake checks that are going to get thrown in the trash can.
Right. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit before we even came on here. You were actually just working on. He's one of our former students in the Creative Finance Academy. But he was big. He actually turned us on to your company, and that guy's been doing this before. But he likes to send his personalized envelopes. He likes to send these out to the expired listings.
Yes.
And when he was in our coaching program, this guy reported nothing but just these crazy. Like he was getting these crazy deals off of these letters. And he attributed it directly to you and to A3 marketing. And it was funny because when we jumped on here, you actually just got done working on another one of his campaigns.
I did. Yep. He sends them to me weekly. He sends letters every week. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's less, sometimes there's 5. I think today there was like 18. And so I just do them because it's easier. It's a smaller number. So I just do them for him. But yeah, he sends them every single week, and he has since I bought the business. I know he was working with the gal that had the business before me, and repetition is key.
It's 100%. Yeah. Just staying disciplined. Ken, I'm taking over the whole thing here. What do you got?
Well, just one thing too, just a logistical thing. Your connection is awful.
Mine?
So your internet connection keeps coming in and out.
Really?
By the way, and you're really lagging behind. But just FYI, there's probably nothing you can do about that. But I'll just let you know. So some of that times we're waiting for it to catch up with you on there too. But I just want to take a step back though, because we're talking. Jeff and I have like combined 35 years of experience in real estate and marketing and doing all this too. But let's take a step back and really, really talk about what you do. So as let's say I'm a brand new real estate investor and I want to send direct mail. What exactly can A3 marketing do for me? What do I need to give to you? What do I bring? Do I need to get my own list? Do you generate the list? Because if I go to some of those places online or whatever, like they say they're an all-in-one shop, even though it's kind of some nonsense. But anyway, they say they're an all-in-one shop. Like, what do I need to bring to you? And then do you have templates? Do I need to send you the templates for that, actually the copy and all that? So tell us what you do. And is it turnkey, or do you need that information from a real estate investor in order to send out the mailings?
Right. So basically what we do is I have people send me, they do get a list from somewhere else because I'm not a list provider. So usually they have their own list people that they want. And sometimes I can help kind of guide them in the direction of like, what if they're totally green and they don't know what to ask their list provider for. I'll just give them idea. I mean, I'm also not a real estate agent. So I make sure they don't they're taking out duplicates and things like that. Like, kind of clean up the list for them. I tell them exactly if they have questions, like what columns I need that to be in for the mail merging process. So the list has to come from somewhere else. And then as well as usually they will send me over a Word document, basically that's just their letter typed up. Now, if they need a different kind of template, I've got a bunch that people can kind of look for, or we can kind of play around with. So they send me both of those things. Those are really the only two things that they have to send me, is the list and the letter template. And if they want a specific picture on their letter, I have a bunch of people that do like washed out pictures on the back of the letter. If they have something specific they want, they can send me that and I can put it on their letter for them, and there's a lot of back and forth of like, do you like this or do you like this? Or you know what I mean? So some people put a QR code on theirs or whatever. So we can do whatever. And then I mail merge those together and put in addresses, property addresses within the letter, if that's what they want, first names. And then we actually have everything else. So I have the envelopes, I have the stamps, I do the printing, all of that. So really that's all anybody needs to come to me with is their letter and template and their list. If that helps, if that's what you're asking. I mean, everything else I do.
Excellent.
Yeah. I actually it's like, see, this is perfect. This is where I think a lot of other mail houses get in trouble, is because, well, I'm not going to name names, first of all, but I have a mail house that I have used or did use for, almost a decade.
Yeah.
And it used to frustrate me to no end because they did provide lists in addition to, in addition to direct mail. And this was mostly postcards. I was sending mostly postcards. But the problem is, I'll just give a piece of advice here to anyone that watches this. You should be building your own lists. You should not be out buying, predetermined lists, because literally these mail houses, they do so much quantity. Mm-hmm. You are literally just mailing the same people with the same criteria that everyone else is mailing. It's almost laughable. It's like, well, I have been in appointments before where I've seen, a stack of these cards, and I've been in the business long enough. I recognize where those cards come from. I know particular mail houses where they come from, and it'll just be a stack of these cards coming from it's obviously the same list and the same, the same criteria for building that list. So if you are not building your own list, I think you should probably, hey, go check out the Sub to Empire store. We've got a couple of courses out there on list building, and I'm telling you, if you're not building your own lists, you're probably missing out. You're probably wasting a bunch of money, first of all, but you're probably missing out on some really good deals, particularly the creative stuff.
Yep. But can we before we get back to the list, I just want to talk about the list for a second, because this was one of those aha things for me. In the first few years I was doing this, when I started, I was just doing it part-time and all that, when I had the 9-to-5 job and all that. And it's just like, okay, I need convenience and all this, and say, yeah, let's go using the same people you were, by the way. But I was all right, let's just get your list out there all the time without thinking about what does that mean? Where is that list coming from? Like, they're not vetting the list. And is that list criteria, even though it's geography related, is it actually meeting my criteria as a business? Like, what am I trying to do here with this? Am I flipping properties? Am I trying to find buy and holds? Am I trying to find sub 2 creative deals? Like, what am I doing? And so I don't want to diminish this. This is a shameless plug now. We have great marketing courses in there about lists and determining what lists, where do you want to target your list building, right? What are you trying to do in your business? And then target that. And we have some great there's. Then when you get that list, right, you send it to someone like Lindsay, who will get very high open rates. Just out of curiosity, Lindsay, too, just so before we digress, like, how many of your clients are real estate investors, just roughly speaking? And I don't mean to put you on the spot. You may not, obviously that changes it. And then I'm curious about what are your open rates? You probably keep data on that.
Yeah, somewhat, to be totally honest with you. So I would say that 90% of my business is real estate investors, just because when I got the business, she was kind of already in, the gal that had it before me was kind of already in with a few investors and stuff. And I just kind of like took that ball and ran with it, you know? But so I try to get as much information as I can on what happens after. It's a lot of follow up with some of these clients, and sometimes they don't know either. I will say I can tell when, like the market is fluctuating for you guys, for like realtors and stuff like that, because I have people tell me, I just had somebody tell me the other day, we got to stop because he was sending a bunch a week. And he's like, I got to slow down. I can't handle all the phone calls, which is a wonderful thing for me to hear, you know, because that's the kind of feedback I get, because I don't get to see what the specific open rate is, if that makes sense. I get it more from feedback from my customers. And then they will like, okay, we can start back up again. Cause I, you know, need to keep the ball rolling now that I managed all these phone calls. So I can tell when the market is ebbing and flowing just by the reaction I get from my clients, because they will say things like that to me. I have found that it seems like right now must be the time that people are getting more phone calls from the letters, because I was telling you guys, like my office doesn't normally look like this, but we are flying through letters right now. So, that doesn't totally answer your question, I don't think, but it kind of, that's what I get to see on my end. I'll send an email out once or twice a year, just kind of asking everybody like, hey, how's it going? Can you give me some information, give me some feedback? But most of the time people are pretty good about giving me feedback. I have a lot of repeat clients. So they, like the one that you guys were talking about, like he orders letters every single week. And a lot of times I see the same names on them. So he's hitting them several times. And then once he gets some feedback from them, I think that's when he pulls them off.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just to think there's beauty in the low tech, aspect of this. You don't have to, I would normally say, well, I do think that real estate investors, they need to track their performance. They need to see how, you know, as they say, all things measured grow. I think they need to track that, but I'm not even sure that's necessarily. I'm not sure that's necessary for you to do that, because, obviously you have this guy's been with you. It's got to be what, 10 years?
I think so. I know he's been
there for a long time.
Person.
And so I would say, I don't know that you would even need to waste your time doing anything like that, because it's just, to me, it just makes sense. It just makes perfect sense that handwritten, or maybe, I don't know if you have any examples, maybe that you can show us kind of what you're talking about, or people can go out to the website, or I'll throw the website up here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one in particular that we use, and I'm not sure about, I've never used any of the other services, but the one in particular are hand addressed envelopes, which are invitation size envelopes, correct?
Right. And I can show you one, because it's the one I have. So this one in particular, and I can kind of, but this is the envelope. This is the ivory invitation style. It's hard to see, I think, but, and then this guy in particular likes that we put a gold seal on the back of his.
Beautiful.
So we do that for him. And then they all are going to have, unless somebody asks me different, they're all going to have the flag stamp on it. But I have some people that want, something different. And so we get those for them. The two sizes I always have are this size and then the white business style envelope. Those are the ones I always have in stock. Now I have another guy that right now I'm working on. He does colored envelopes. And so we've been doing, here's a bunch, so it's just completely what you guys want. But yeah, that's the basis of it, is we do the handwrite this. And then inside this letter, I sign his name on it as well. It's a typed letter, but I sign his name on it.
Got it. So do you also offer so for example, I know that I like to stay super, super local, like hyper local. Do you offer sending batches back to
Yep.
back to the individual investor himself and let them mail it out locally? You do that?
Yep. Yes, I have a bunch of people that want to do that. Some people want to take it completely out of their hands and I mail it for them. Just because they're like, this is a marketing piece. I've given you everything. Now I want you to just send it on the 1st and the 15th or when they're done or whatever. But then I have other people that I box them up and I send it back. So it's postmarked from their city. That's just a specific choice. Honestly. I don't know how often people look at postmarks. If you want to take it out of your hands completely and let me do all that work, I don't think that that's necessarily a terrible thing. Cause then it's just, it's just one of those things you don't have to do. But yeah, I charge the shipping back. It's nothing any extra than that.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of particular. Even with my, unless I'm mailing like 4,000 postcards or something like that. I would like to, that's something that I would request. I would like to have that, I don't know. Every little bit helps in this business. Like there's little things. Right before this call, Ken and I were going over a web page, on our website, and it's radically different from anything else. And, it's all about testing, really. I mean, it kind of applies to your marketing as well. So I'm just one of those people. I just think that as close as you can get to someone's, in the vicinity of someone's home, it's just one of those little things I think that a lot of people might not think about. So, but it's cool that you offer it. I'm really glad.
I mean, that's back to the point of personalizing it. So, I mean, it's totally fine if that's what somebody prefers. That's an easy ask.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I'm curious. I'm like Jeff likes to give a lot of value here. So let's talk about some pro tips. Maybe you had already mentioned one that you say, like, what's working now with direct mail. And you said, you had mentioned repetition. You just got to keep sending things. It may not work at first, but you have to keep sending things. Are there any other, we'll just say pro tips there? You mentioned that you can do whatever you want per the person's request, but do colored envelopes make a difference? Do you notice that, or do your customers tell you that those make a difference? What other pro tips would you have, or that you can give us there about trying to target things just from a look and feel, so to speak?
Yeah, I always tell people because buying colored envelopes and stuff is going to raise the price. They're expensive. So I always tell people, if they're just starting out, like, start with the basics. Start with that number 10, that white number 10 envelope, and see how it does, because you never know. So then if they see, I know I'm going to want to send twice a month or whatever, and then they see, okay, I feel like I'm not getting a ton of feedback off of those for whatever reason. It could just be anything. Honestly, it may not have anything to do with the envelope or whatever. And then I say, can we switch it up to the ivory? Or can I have some people that send me whatever envelope they want. They send them to me and I just back it out of the price. So I just make it to whatever they want. So I would say my advice from what I've seen is get your feet, just get it going, get the envelopes out there, the number 10s, and start there. And then we can revamp if we need to. Don't put all of it into if this colored envelope doesn't work, then what am I going to do? You know what I mean? And we can do anything. If you want to switch up the stamp, if you want to switch up, I have several different writers. I will let you see what kind of handwriting they all have if you want to see it. And we can switch that. I have some ladies that only write in cursive, which you don't see very often anymore.
Right.
And I have one customer that wants me to print everything in capital letters. So we print everything in capital letters, So I guess the pro tip, if that's what we want to consider, would be just be flexible in what you do and just be okay with it, maybe only getting a couple calls out of 100 letters is a really good, honestly, in my opinion, is a really good mail. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what here's another thing I just saw too. I always tell people, don't send, if there's duplicates on there, but it's that, I had one guy that was adamant about me sending to everybody, but they have the same mailing address, but they might have 15 properties. So all of them come up on their list. And I'm like, it is not worth sending. They're going to think you're an insane person for sending them 15 letters for different things. So I can help with that and that kind of stuff, but just be, just be flexible with that kind of stuff and try to keep an eye out for that kind of a thing. Cause it's not worth your money to send 15 letters to the same address for 15 different properties. You know what I mean? I mean, they're going to know that that's what you're doing if you send it just for the one.
Right. Yeah. I always also, if we're talking about, I mean, obviously that's list mismanagement is what that is.
Yes. Oh, totally. Yes.
Clean lists, right?
However, I will say, it depends on, it depends on your budget, and it depends on, the speed of things, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Where, for example, it might not be in someone's best interest to manage, manage a list. So I can see where people would make that mistake. Although there is when you're building a list, there's always an option to deduplicate, is what they call it. There's always that option. So if you're doing that, or if you've done that before, by all means, look for that option the next time you're building your list.
Yes.
But I would say that this is something I always tell people, like, and depending upon how large your lists are, it's probably not to your benefit. Let's say that you send out, a few, or maybe 500 letters or something like that, and you get a call from an angry grandmother who wants you to take her off. Take her off of your list. Mm-hmm. The thing about mail is, there is, in the legal world, you can send mail to anyone at any time. There's no restrictions on it whatsoever at all. I mean, so I would say that if you've got a large list like that, probably what you want to do is be polite, be nice. Yes, ma'am, I'll take you off your list. But are you going to go thumbing through all these lists that you have to find this one person? Some people would do that. I have better things to do with my time. I'm probably just going to send her another piece of mail, to be honest with you. And you know what? People's minds change all the time. So,
that's true.
It could be, if you've sent her 7 or 8, maybe on that eighth touch, maybe she's like, you know what? I think this dude's right. I think I need to sell this place.
Well, if you have your list on your spreadsheet and it's alphabetized, like I have my list on my spreadsheet, then it's easy to find that person's name, Jeff, that you can take off of your list.
Thinking of all that time you just wasted, man. and a potential lead. I'm just saying. Hey.
You're right. People's minds do change. Their circumstances change. All the different motivations, like going back to the marketing thing. So we do it by motivation. Their motivations change all the time. Their circumstances change constantly.
Yeah.
So you never know about.
I think that's
a good tip.
One thing that's unique about. Again, I'm going to do a shameless plug here, but that's one thing that is very unique about what we teach, and that is we're not looking for. I mean, we break it down into categories. So we have personal and financial motivations. We have property motivations. We break it down in categories like that because first of all, it's easier to identify your potential target where you're trying to get to, and it also, at least for me, it also helps me to wrap my mind around the person, the individual that I'm trying to reach, and so it makes the messaging that I actually put in my letters or my postcards, it makes it that much. It makes the copy in those letters that much better. I mean, one of the some of the rules that we follow are, number one, you got to address the problem in some way, shape, or form in your copy. You need to be addressing the problem. All right. Mm-hmm. So if that's a divorce situation, now you're not going to come out and tell someone, I just saw you got a divorce. You want to sell your house? You're not going to say something like that. but it is going to be subtle. You're going to be, it's a family issue. So if you distill it down, it's a family issue. So that's kind of how we address our folks in, say, a divorce situation. It was, we deal with family problems all the time. Let us know if we can help you. Type of that's the gist of it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But so anyway, Ken, what else have you got here?
Well, I'm just curious. So A3 marketing, you mentioned about 90% of your customers are real estate investors at the time. So what do you do? So you're a direct mail marketing company. What do you do to market for new customers? How do you go about doing that? How do you get your leads for your business?
Oh, that's
so
juicy.
a lot of
That's
what I do is, yeah, a lot of what I do is word of mouth for sure. I mean, people find me. I've been going now that when I bought the business in 2021, it was like I had to jump in. It was hit the ground running because this was a business that was already in motion. So I really had to it was sink or swim situation. So now finally within this last year, now we're rolling along. And so I've been going to state real estate conferences and doing stuff like that, getting booths at real estate conferences. I'm going to be in Iowa in October. So just starting to kind of go to some of those things and do some of that, because I have found that that's where people don't even know. Like I went to one in Nebraska, here in Nebraska in April, and people had no idea that it was even a thing, which I understand, because it is such a niche thing. So then people see it and then they tell other people. So that's sort of where I'm kind of honed in right now, is going to conferences and just kind of getting my name out there so people know what we do and that we're around.
Awesome. Sorry, I've got so many things open on this window now.
I was just going to say, Jeff is the technical guy behind it. So on the screen, you've seen too. So if you're ever interested in A3 marketing there, we'll do this again at the end, but you can see the link. There's actually a QR code that you can go right directly to A3 marketing and start working with them.
I'm going to go ahead and throw down here. Let me just throw this in here. Sorry, I guess we're doing this on the fly.
It's all right.
We're going to do A3 marketing. Should have done this before. Letters. It's .net, right?
I think it is. Yeah. Yes. Is it? Okay. Glad you guys know.
There we go. Perfect. So A3marketingletters.net. Go check them out. Also, they have if you guys wouldn't mind, if you do place an order with Lindsay, we do have it's not listed there, but there's a little drop down in there where you ask where you sourced it from, or where they got the information from. If you throw Sub to Empire in there, we'd really appreciate it. And I'm not even sure what we offer there with our. I'm so lost right now.
Well, there's a drop down there, and your guys' name is in there. And when people go on there, you're not committing to I'm putting in an order, I'm sending. You can just send something through that, and it comes right to me. And if it's any questions, and that way, then I have your email address, so we can start, and your phone number usually, and we can start going back and forth, because the initial start of a marketing program, there's a lot of back and forth, just so everybody's on the same page. I send you a proof of the letter and make you look at it, make sure all the phone numbers and everything look right and all that stuff. So it's not committing yourself to anything. If you just have questions, just send them through the website. And like I said, that email comes straight to me. So I'll get it and get back in touch with you. I really try to get back in touch with everybody within 24 hours, because that's how my brain works. I have to it's probably since I've been in sales for 20 years. Yeah. So if I don't get back to you for some reason, feel free to just, poke at me again, but I will get back to you. Yeah. Very
good. Awesome. Well, I don't really have a whole lot more, other than to guys go out and visit Lindsay at a3marketingletters.net. Check out what we got going on over at Sub to Empire. We've been working pretty diligently over the past, 9 months or something like that, to get things updated. We've got a bunch of new coursework updated. Marketing, lots of marketing. In fact, I think our Creative Finance Academy, a majority of that. I mean, we've got, I don't know how many hours even, Ken. You probably have a better handle on that than I do, but
several hours worth of marketing courses too. And just so you know, so A3 marketing is our go-to reference and resource for the direct mail piece of it, especially the handwritten and the letters too. You know, sometimes the postcards are okay and all of that too, but we're really talking about the personalized letters here that are much better to target particular things. And so that's what A3 marketing specializes in.
That's a question for you, I guess. Before we go, what is there a particular if there's a particular number of letters that people would request that you guys are kind of outside of your comfort zone? Is there a limit to how many you guys can? Nothing. No. You guys can do it all, huh?
We can do it all. We've had some really big orders here recently, and I just actually am in the process of hiring about 3 more writers. So we don't have any minimums, just because I have found that, you know, like I said, everybody's marketing needs are different. So there's no minimums or, you know, maximums or anything like that. Yeah.
No,
so we can make it work.
Challenge you to find a mail house that doesn't have at least a 500 count minimum.
That is true. And that's why I did it that way, because I really wanted to be able to help the people that don't want to have to do that all the time. I get it. You know, they don't want to have to, you have to put aside money for marketing, and sometimes you have more than, and sometimes you don't. So I didn't want those people to feel like they weren't going to be successful if they only can market to so many a week. So, or a month, you know?
Yep. Yeah. Very, very smart. I mean, yeah, I know the big mail houses, they really rely on that. I mean, I understand they've got a lot of equipment. They've got,
that's true,
you know, tons and tons and tons of overhead. Yes. Where I think, you know, tools of the trade are what? Envelopes, pens.
Yep.
People.
Really? Yeah.
That's so awesome.
That's pretty much it. And you know what? Like I said before, and part of it is I really appreciate you guys having me on to do this, because this is how I get word of mouth out there. And this has provided me the ability to work from home and be around with my kids are small. And so it's like, you know, I am so appreciative of these kinds of things. So that's why I feel like I really try to like go above and beyond, because this is what we do. My husband and I own these marketing companies, and this is what we do. And this provides us the ability to work for ourselves.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No greater goal than
right
for me. Yeah, that's awesome. Good deal.
That's here. And I just like, I'll just leave it with this, because this is as Jeff knows, you don't know me as well, probably Lindsay too, but you know, this is just for Skynet out there listening to all of us, that personalized service, what a concept, right?
That's amazing.
Personalized handwritten service. What a concept.
Yeah.
So, we appreciate what you do. And like I said, like Jeff and I mentioned, we haven't found anybody that does what Lindsay does exactly in that space, and she does it very well, and she'll take care of whatever you need. Right. I mean, it's really the long and short of it. So we highly recommend, if you're interested in sending out some direct mail and you want to get it personalized and you want to get it open and you want to get your phone to ring, go to a3marketingletters.net and talk with Lindsay.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. That's going to wrap it up. Lindsay, thanks again for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure. We've never met before, but it was absolute pleasure meeting you. And
Thank you,
guys,
as well.
Right on. Well, we will catch you guys on the next one, next Friday at